Imagine this, a crowded family gathering, laughter echoing through the room, glasses clinking in toasts. Everyone's dressed up, sharing stories from the past. But for me, Emily, that night turned into a nightmare I never saw coming. My own sister, Sarah, the one person who should have had my back, decided to tear me down in front of everyone. It started innocently enough, or so I thought. We were at our cousin's engagement party, the kind of event where old wounds sometimes resurface under the guise of jokes. Sarah had always been the golden child in our family, beautiful, outgoing, the one who turned heads wherever she went. Me? I was the quiet one, buried in books and later in law school. I'd worked hard to become a judge, presiding over cases that shaped lives. But Sarah never let me forget that I was the boring sister. That night, as we all sat around the dinner table, she raised her glass with a sly smile. "To my little sister Emily," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. The one who chose dusty courtrooms over a real life. I mean, look at her still single at 35, while I'm here with my amazing fiance, planning our dream wedding. The room went quiet for a second, then a few awkward chuckles broke out. I felt my cheeks burn, my heart pounding like a drum. How could she say that? We'd had our differences growing up, her stealing my clothes, spreading rumors about me in high school, but this was public humiliation. I forced a smile, trying to brush it off. "Come on, Sarah, not tonight," I muttered under my breath, but she wasn't done. She leaned in, her eyes sparkling with that cruel amusement I'd seen too many times. "Oh, Em, don't be so sensitive. It's just the truth. You're always judging everyone else's lives from your high horse, but when's the last time you had a date, or even a friend who isn't a lawyer?" Her fiancé Mark sat beside her, chuckling along at first. He was handsome, successful, a businessman who'd swept Sarah off her feet 6 months ago. They'd met at some fancy networking event, and she couldn't stop bragging about him. But as Sarah kept going, piling on the insults about my lonely life and how I'd wasted my youth on a career, I noticed Mark's face change. He shifted in his seat, his laugh fading into a forced grin. The color drained from his cheeks, like he'd seen a ghost. And then, in a whisper that cut through the noise, he turned to me and said, "Wait, you're the judge?" The room didn't catch it at first, but I did. His eyes widened in recognition, a mix of shock and fear. What did he mean? I hadn't met him before, or so I thought. But in that moment, the pieces started to fall into place. This wasn't just a family spat anymore. This was the beginning of something much bigger, a web of secrets, betrayal, and a revenge that would change everything. How had I ended up here, face to face with a man who knew me from the courtroom? And why did Sarah's perfect life suddenly feel like it was built on lies? Stick with me, because this story is about to unravel in ways you won't believe. As the party continued, I excused myself to the balcony, needing air. My mind raced back to our childhood. Sarah and I were only 2 years apart, but worlds different. She was the popular one, always surrounded by friends, while I found solace in stories of justice and fairness. Our parents favored her charm, often overlooking my achievements. "Emily's too serious," they'd say. But I pushed through, graduating top of my class, becoming a district judge, handling everything from fraud to corporate disputes. It was my escape, my power. Yet Sarah never missed a chance to mock it. Back inside, I watched her from afar, arm linked with Mark's. He avoided my gaze now, fidgeting with his phone. What case was he thinking of? I racked my brain. Had I presided over something involving him? The night dragged on, filled with toasts and dances, but the tension hung in the air like a storm cloud. Little did I know, this mockery was the spark that would ignite a fire of truth. Sarah had crossed the line, and fate was about to hand me the tools to expose it all. Let's go back in time, because to understand that fateful night, you need to know where it all began. Growing up in a small suburban town, Sarah and I shared a bedroom, but that's where the sharing stopped. She was the sun, bright and demanding attention, while I was the moon, quiet, reflective, often overlooked. Our parents, both teachers, encouraged competition between us. Healthy rivalry builds character, Dad would say. But it wasn't healthy. Sarah thrived on it, always one-upping me. Remember the school talent show in 8th grade? I practiced for weeks on a piano piece, pouring my heart into it. Sarah, seeing my excitement, decided to enter too with a dance routine she threw together last minute. She won, of course, and afterward, she teased me relentlessly. "See, Em? Talent isn't about hard work, it's about flair." I cried in my room that night, vowing to channel my pain into something bigger. That's when I discovered my love for Lottie Bait Club mock trials. It gave me control in a world where Sarah always seemed to win. As we got older, the rift deepened. In high school, she dated the quarterback, partied every weekend. I studied, volunteered at legal aid clinics. When I got into a top law school and scholarship, she downplayed it. Oh, great, more books for Emily. Meanwhile, she flitted from job to job, modeling gigs, event planning, always landing on her feet thanks to her charm. Our parents beamed at her weddings and baby showers for friends, while my courtroom victories were just work. Then came the big fallout. 5 years ago, at Mom's 60th birthday, Sarah announced her engagement to her then-boyfriend, a guy named Tom, but I overheard her on the phone days before, admitting she cheated on him. I confronted her privately. "You can't start a marriage on lies, Sarah." She exploded, accusing me of jealousy. "Who are you to judge? Miss Perfect with no life?" The engagement fell apart anyway. Tom found out from someone else, and she blamed me. We barely spoke after that until she met Mark. Mark seemed different. Successful CEO of a tech startup, charming, attentive. Sarah gushed about him in rare family calls. "He's the one, finally someone who gets me." I was happy for her, or tried to be. But at that engagement party, wait, no, it was our cousins, but Sarah used it to flaunt her ring. She turned the spotlight on me again. Mocking my single status, my career focus. Emily thinks she's better than us, hiding behind her gavel. But Mark's reaction, that pale face. After the party, I couldn't sleep. I pulled up my case files on my laptop. Judges have access to records, you know? And there it was, Mark Thompson, defendant in an upcoming fraud case. Embezzlement charges from his company. The trial was set for next month, and guess who was assigned? Me, Judge Emily Carter. He must have seen my photo in the court documents or news clippings. Sarah had no idea, or did she? Had she mocked me knowing this, or was it pure coincidence? The betrayal stung deeper now. Sarah's words weren't just sibling teasing, they were rooted in years of resentment. She saw my success as a threat to her spotlight. But now, with Mark's secret hanging over us, I felt a shift. For the first time, I held the power. Not to abuse it, no. Justice isn't about personal vendettas, but to let the truth unfold. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, questions swirled. How involved was Sarah? Did she know about his shady dealings? And what would happen when the courtroom doors opened? This was no longer just family drama. It was a collision of worlds, personal and professional. The stage was set for revelations that would test loyalties, expose lies, and perhaps deliver a form of revenge I never planned. The days after the party felt like walking on eggshells. Sarah called me the next morning, giggling like nothing happened. "Hey sis, sorry if I went too far last night. You know I was just kidding, right? Come on, lighten up." I gripped the phone, my voice steady but cold. "It wasn't funny, Sarah. You humiliated me." She sighed dramatically. "God, Emily, always so serious. That's why you're alone. You push everyone away with your judgments." Her words echoed in my mind as I headed to the courthouse. My chambers were my sanctuary, polished wood desk, stacks of files, the weight of responsibility. But today, Mark's case file stared back at me. Accusations of siphoning funds from investors, falsifying reports. If proven, he could face years in prison. And Sarah, blissfully planning her wedding, had no clue. Or did she? I wondered if she'd been part of it, maybe helping him cover tracks with her event planning skills. I decided to dig deeper. Not officially, that would be unethical, but through old connections. I called an old law school friend, now a private investigator. "Hey Mike, need a favor." Background on Mark Thompson. He got back to me in hours. "Emily, this guy's slick. Multiple complaints from ex-employees about shady deals. And get this, your sister? She's listed as a consultant on some of his company's events, paid handsomely too." My heart sank. Sarah involved. Betrayal twisted like a knife. All those years of her mocking me while she skated on the edge of legality. I confronted her over lunch a week later. We met at a quiet cafe, neutral ground. She arrived late, flashing her engagement ring. "So, what's this about? You sounding all judge-y again?" I laid it out calmly. "Sarah, do you know about Mark's legal troubles?" Her face paled for a split second, then she laughed it off. "What? No, that's ridiculous. He's a businessman, everyone has competitors spreading rumors." But her eyes darted away. I pressed. "I'm the judge on his case." He recognized me at the party. Silence. Then anger flared. "You? Of all people? This is why I can't stand you, Emily. Always inserting yourself into my life, trying to ruin it." She stormed out, leaving me with the bell and a storm of emotions. Shock at her denial, anger at her involvement, sadness for the sister I once loved. Back home, I paced my living room, memories flooding in. Childhood fights over toys, teenage secrets she betrayed, adult jabs at my choices. This was the ultimate betrayal, not just mocking me publicly, but building her happiness on deceit that could drag us all down. As the trial date loomed, I felt the weight. Could I recuse myself? Ethically, yes, but the conflict was personal now. No, I had to stay impartial, but deep down, a spark of justice burned. Not revenge, but truth. What if exposing this saved her from a life of lies? The suspense built. Would she come clean? Or would the courtroom force her hand? Weeks turned into a whirlwind. Sarah avoided my calls, but family whispers reached me. She's furious with you, Emily. Says you're jealous of her happiness. Jealous? If only they knew. I threw myself into work, preparing for the trial. Evidence mounted against Mark witness statements, financial trails. One night, poring over documents, I found Sarah's name again. Invoices for consulting that looked like laundered money. I couldn't ignore it. I invited her to my house, hoping for honesty. She showed up wary, arms crossed. What now? Going to lecture me? I showed her the papers. Sarah, this implicates you. Did you know? Tears welled in her eyes. It was nothing. Just helping with events. Mark said it was fine. But her voice cracked. The truth spelled. She'd suspected something off, but ignored it for the lifestyle. The trips, the ring, the promises. Betrayal hit like a wave. You mocked me for being honest while you hid this, she sobbed. I was scared, Em. You don't understand you have your perfect life. Perfect? My life was solitary, yes, but built on integrity. We talked for hours, unearthing old hurts. Her jealousy of my independence, my resentment of her ease. For a moment, hope flickered, maybe reconciliation. But Mark called her midway, and she clammed up. I can't betray him. She left, leaving me alone with decisions. The revenge plan wasn't mine, it was fate's. I let the trial play out, but ensure justice. Suspense gnawed, would she testify? Or protect him at all costs? As trial day approached, I felt the tension coil. Mark's lawyers requested a meeting standard, but his face in my courtroom would be telling. Sarah texted me, please, be fair, after years of her barbs. But judges don't seek personal vengeance. We seek truth. I reviewed the case meticulously. More evidence emerged, emails linking Sarah indirectly. I warned her anonymously through a friend. Get out while you can. She confronted me days later. Was that you, trying to break us up? Anger turned to fear. What if he's guilty? For the first time, she saw the cracks. My revenge was simple. Exposure. Not twisting the law, but letting it shine light. I encouraged her to come forward. Testify, Sarah. Save yourself. She wavered, but pride held her back. The night before trial, she called crying. I mocked you because I envied you. You're strong. I'm not. Emotional breakthrough? Maybe, but the climax loomed. Trial day dawned crisp and clear. The courtroom buzzed reporters, family in the gallery. Mark entered, avoiding my eyes. Sarah sat behind him, pale. I banged the gavel. Proceedings began. Prosecution laid out the case. Fraud, deceit. Witnesses testified to Mark's schemes. Then defense called Sarah as a character witness. She took the stand, voice trembling. Mark's a good man. But under cross-examination, cracks showed. Did you handle finances? No. Well, some invoices. The truth tumbled out. She'd suspected, ignored. Mark's face went white again, just like at the party. I remained impartial, but the evidence damned him. Jury deliberated quickly. Guilty. Sarah broke down as he was led away. In that moment, justice felt like revenge. Her world shattered, but perhaps rebuilt stronger. Post-trial, Sarah crashed at my place. We talked like never before. Tears, apologies. I'm sorry for mocking you, Em. I was insecure. I forgave, but boundaries set. Mark got 5 years. Sarah avoided charges by cooperating. She started over, therapy, a real job. Family dynamics shifted, respect for my role grew. I reflected, betrayal hurts, but truth heals. Looking back, that public mockery was a catalyst. It exposed not just Mark's lies, but our sibling wounds. Justice isn't about payback, it's balance. Sarah and I rebuilt slowly, coffee dates, honest talks. Months later, Sarah met someone genuine. I officiated their small wedding, ironic, healing. My life? Still in the courtroom, but with more balanced dates, friends. This story shows betrayal can lead to growth. Hold on to integrity. It lights the way. Today, Sarah and I are closer. She teases lightly now, with love. Mark's out on parole, reformed, who knows. But the lesson sticks. Revenge through justice changes everything. Cherish truth, forgive, move forward. In the end, what started as a moment of humiliation became the turning point for something better. Sometimes the people who try to dim your light are the ones who need it the most. And when you stand firm in who you are, the truth has a way of setting everyone free, even if it hurts along the way. Family isn't always easy, but when you choose honesty over resentment, healing finds its way in. That's the real justice. That's the real win.